Hello, everyone. I just wanted to make a short video showing you how to run a report so you can keep track of your clinical hours, your contacts, your skills, all of that stuff that if you're in the paramedic cohorts is going to be particularly interesting for you. EMT, it's basically 10 contacts, and that's really all that's absolutely required is the bare minimum. You'll notice we do give you other skills in there, but the paramedics are where there's a lot of things that you need to keep track of. And so we want to give you that information so you can check it on your own. It's pretty easy. You can see I'm signed in as a student here. This is in one of our new paramedic cohorts. So she's not going to have a lot under this. And so it's kind of a nice, clean example for you. First of all, just a reminder, notice that there are things that need to be submitted here, right? Even if she has these skills, contacts, or whatever in the labs or in the opportunities in the clinicals, if they aren't submitted, they aren't counting for anything whatsoever. If she had at least submitted them, they would show up as pending when you run a report, but at this point, they don't show up at all. So if you ever go to run a report and it doesn't look right, make sure you actually submitted the lab or the documentation. So first and foremost, we're going to go up here to reports. And as a student, it's pretty easy. You're just going to run the progress report. That's really the only one that you need to worry about. You can narrow this down if you're particularly looking to get some very specific information, but generally you guys just want to look at the big picture. So we'll want to make sure that the hours, the display lab, the scenario doesn't really matter. We don't do anything with that one. The opportunity skills, and this one is optional, but this is those pending, right? If your instructor has not verified your documentation, so you've submitted it, but we haven't given it that final okay, it will show up here in the pending. So I like to turn it on, but some people just want to see 100% what they already have. And then the last two you don't need to worry about. So we'll run a report, and this is going to show me everything, all classes from start to finish because I didn't edit any dates or anything. And it's pretty self-explanatory, right? We have the overall category hours progress, which really these two aren't super helpful, right? Because they're just telling you out of everything, how close are you? Well, when you're looking at, doing something like 1400 hours, it really doesn't matter. So don't worry too much about these. They're just kind of a nice little progress bar for you. You can see your category hours is the next thing. And the nice thing is this shows you what you have locked in time. So being at the start of the paramedic cohort, they've only done the dialysis in the emergency room. So they're getting ready to do the OR, but you can see it shows as locked, and that means that she can't even see those opportunities when she goes to the schedule until that lock is gone. So if you think you should be able to see something or you can't find any shifts in a particular category, start here and make sure that we actually gave you access to see that. We're human beings, and of course we never make mistakes, right? So if you see that and you know you're supposed to be able to get in somewhere, just shoot us an email, let us know. We'll get that taken care of. It's an easy fix. Moving over, it'll be the same the rest of the way across. There's those pending, right? This is what has been documented and submitted, but we haven't quite, your instructor hasn't finalized everything. The adjusted category is for the instructors and myself. If we need to adjust something up or down for some reason, we can come in here and manually change your numbers if need be, because we all know technology, right? Never does anything wrong. Completed is that actual, I have submitted the documentation, my instructor has approved it, and now it's completed. It's 100% counted for. These pendings will shift over to completed. I should mention that in the category hours in particular, the pending is really indicating what you have scheduled. The skills pending is where if you had done, say, CPR on an adult as a skill, then it would show up pending here until we finally approve that. So this is the hours. I can adjust the hours, and then this is the hours you have completed once the shift has been completely approved. And then obviously the required number of hours and where you're at. As you scroll down, you'll see skills. Make sure if you're trying to figure out your skills and where you're at, they do break it up, right? This is the lab skills. lab skills. And then as you scroll down, the opportunities, your clinical, the hospital and the ambulance skills, they do split those up. So don't be concerned if you're like, Nate, in class, we did 20 cardio versions. Why do I have zero? Um, it does break it down by category, so it does matter. Now, we do have it set up so that your peers, right? We always have the peer reviewed where you guys are running scenarios amongst yourself, you're practicing your isolated skills, and then that instructor verification. Remember, we tell you that if you do it with an instructor, it's very important that when they ask for who your observer was, that you actually pick the instructor. That's where this comes into play. We want to have one of your attempts at least that shows competency. That's the instructor. You say, I'm ready. We watch you. We don't help you at all. We don't give you any little tips or tricks. You just run through it, and that shows us that you are competent in that skill. Now, it's okay if you don't get it the first time, right? If you stumble through and we end up having to help you, no big deal. You'll just have, instead of the minimum of one, that'll say 2 of 1 or 3 of 1, whatever. Even if we're just running scenarios and it's not for competency, if we're just walking you through something, if it's with an instructor, go ahead and mark it down as an instructor. Okay. Um, and then everything that's on a mannequin also counts, right? It's set to a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you do a cardio version on a mannequin, it will count, and it will count as if it were a live person. It counts towards your skills total. And then the other thing over here, when you get down to these skills, you'll notice there is an observed, right? If you maybe didn't do the cardio version, but you were there and got to observe it or kind of help, you would put the skill down as observed, and you can kind of see those right here. And then attempted, this comes into play for like IV, IO, intubation, right? You attempted the skill, but you weren't successful. So that will show up here. And then it takes the attempted and completed. It will take that and give you your success rate. That was at the very bottom of the report that I told you you don't have to turn on. It will actually show you your success rate if you're curious about, by the end of class, you're like, I've done 500 IVs. I wonder how many I missed. You can find out that information as long as you've documented it accurately. After that, when we get to the airway, it is listed. We do need you to have live airway management because, as you know, the mannequins are only so real, and it's not anything like a real human being per se. So we do need to specifically have live airway managements, whether that's CPAP for the EMTs, if that's a non-visualized supraglottic airway, that's an endotracheal tube, suctioning, any of that sort of stuff, that'll end up there. And then when you get to your capstone, your ride time, that 400 hours as a paramedic student, you have to get so many ALS leads and BLS leads. You have to get 30 of each. We don't care in the order. If you're competent on a call and you show up day one and you rock it out, we want to make sure that you're getting credit for that ALS team lead. And that is in the opportunity documentation when you get to your ride time. So just make sure that you keep track of your leads as well. Obviously, we may tweak some of these numbers, just depends on what's going on, different class. So don't take the values you see here, if they're different than what you have, it's okay. It's supposed to be that way. Just make sure that you keep track of your progress. And if you notice you're not getting something or you think something should be showing up somewhere, please let us know sooner rather than later, right? Review your runs and your progress frequently. Don't get to your 4th semester of, your paramedic time and suddenly look at a report for the first time in your life and realize, oh, none of this is right. All right. That's much harder than kind of just checking it once a week or something like that, or once every other week to make sure everything's looking smooth and going where it needs to. As always, if you need anything, get a hold of your instructor. Thanks, everyone.